Hello and welcome back to Music Rewind. Ariana Grande is less than a week away from releasing her new album Positions, following the release of her biggest album to date, Thank You Next. How will it rank within the rest of her albums? We will find that out in a few days, but for now, we are ranking all of her albums from worst to best in my opinion, from Yours Truly to Thank You Next. You pretty much know who Ariana Grande is, but before I get into her ranking, let's look back over her career for a brief minute. She had a breakout role on Nickelodeon's Victorious as the lovable character Cat Valentine and even got her own spin-off show Sam and Cat. She then signed with Republic Records around 2011. Her official debut single was Put Your Hearts Up, a gold-certified song Ariana would rather forget. Her lead single off her first album was The Way featuring Mac Miller, which started an impressive streak of top 10 debuts, entering at number 10 on the Billboard Hot 100 in its first week. Her first album, Yours Truly, was released September 2013 and debuted at number 1 on the Billboard 200, becoming the first female artist to have their debut album at number 1 since Kesha's 2010 album Animal. She then followed that up with My Everything in August 2014, becoming her second number 1 album and was the first to have their first 2 albums debut at number 1 since Susan Boyle in 2009 and 2010. The album had giant hits such as Problem, the first UK number 1 to include streaming, Break Free, and One Last Time. In 2016, she released her third album, Dangerous Woman, her first UK number 1 album and her only album in the States not to hit number 1. The album saw huge success and produced the singles Dangerous Woman, Into You, and Side by Side. Things only increased critically and commercially from there, with the release of her Grammy-winning album Sweetener, which at the time shattered streaming records and debuted at number 1 on both the UK and US album charts. It produced hits such as No Tears Left to Cry and God Is a Woman. Finally, we have her biggest album to date, Thank You Next, an album that only took 2 weeks to make, but a lifetime to celebrate. The album saw a lot of highs and firsts for Ariana. The album had the biggest opening weeks of her entire career and broke records for being the largest streaming pop album with 307 million on-demand streams that week. The album became her first to spend multiple weeks at number 1. She had her first 2 number 1s on the Billboard Hot 100 with Thank You Next and 7 Rings, and in the UK all 3 singles from the album reached number 1. She's had 16 top 10s on the Billboard Hot 100 and 4 number 1s, which fun fact, they have all debuted at number 1. Now you can see she's done a lot, but we're looking at quality today. Critically, her albums have always been received well, but how are they received by me? Well, let's find out. At number 5, we have Sweetener. This may be an unpopular opinion since it's an album that was raved about and won a Grammy, but I think it's her worst album. The problem is simple. Pharrell Williams. The guy's a legend and has produced some amazing hits over the years, but all the songs that he was a part of on this album are shockingly bad or just boring. And he wrote and produced half of this record. The only songs that he was a part of that I had some sort of enjoyment in was Successful, Sweetener, and a few bits on The Light Is Coming. Otherwise, no. However, there are songs on this record that are absolutely amazing. All the singles that released from this album were the best songs. No Tears Left to Cry may be her best lead-off single, along with Dangerous Woman. The only album tracks that I really liked were Raindrops, Every Time, and Goodnight and Go, which was the best album track. I feel like it tried to be a vintage album, but kind of failed. So it's my least favorite Ariana Grande album. At number 4, we have Yours Truly. This is such a good debut album. Considering she was still on Nickelodeon when she released it, the album shows a lot of maturity with the 90s R&B, and I could see at the time how it was almost like an early version of Mariah Carey. And I can say now she is definitely this generation's Mariah Carey. The album has some 90s throwback elements with a fresher sound. Songs like Tattooed Heart and Almost Never Enough really highlighted her amazing voice. She dips into some pop with Baby I and Bet Left Unsaid, and some R&B with Honeymoon Avenue and The Way. It's a good album, but because she was still on Nickelodeon, I think it was a bit restricted because there are still some bubblegum pop songs such as Popular Song and Lovin' It that you wouldn't really see her singing now. Aside from that, I really enjoyed the record. At number 3, we have My Everything. This is Ariana's mainstream album to get her name really out there, and it more than worked. The album ditched the sound on Yours Truly for a more mainstream pop sound, with some more modern R&B sounds on songs like Love Me Harder and Best Mistake. There are some great dance electric songs on here like Break Free and Be My Baby, and some brilliant pop gems like Bang Bang and Problem. She's more versatile and grown up on this record with songs like Why Try, Just a Little Bit of Your Heart, and One Last Time. The reason why this is above yours truly is because I do like the growth that she had on this album, and I like a lot more songs on My Everything. However, I do think her debut had more personality and was a lot more concise, but I see why this album was necessary, and it does have some of her best songs to date. At number 2, we have Thank You Next. The fact that this album was made in 2 weeks in the midst of what was going on in her life, I have mad respect, and what an amazing piece of work this is. To be honest, I'm not too much of a fan of the opening few songs of this record. I really started getting into the album from Bloodline onwards. I really feel like she came full circle with this album because it's a lot more R&B like yours truly, but while her debut was a lot more colourful and light, this album is very moody and dark with more trap elements. But why is it number 2? Well, that's because of the trap on here. Now, this album is a solid 4 out of 5, but there's a lot of trap influence on here, and that just may be a personal preference, but it works on songs like Bad Idea and bits on Seven Rings, but not on other songs. Aside from those minor notes, it's a great record. And the number 1 album is Dangerous Woman. The biggest change I saw from Ariana was from My Everything to Dangerous Woman. This was her breakout album as an artist. Her voice changed, it was more mature and stronger, and her songwriting improved too. Her best singles are from this album, aside from maybe Every Day, which is okay on a good day. The album had an appropriate amount of collaborations, with each one having kind of a different style, but still fit within the pop R&B genre. Some of her best songs in her discography are on this album, including Greedy, which should have been a single instead of Every Day, Touch It, and Leave Me Lonely. Into You is one of the best pop songs of the 2010s. In my opinion, it is one of her best singles ever. An amazing album and one I keep coming back to. So I know not everyone is going to agree with this ranking, so below, tell me yours. This is a conversation and I want to know which Ariana Grande album is your favorite. Dangerous Woman, I think, is her boldest and best album with the best songs, and Thank You Next is her most vulnerable and honest album and is a very close second. I really hope her new one does well. I know it will do well because it's Ariana Grande and her fans are very passionate and will do everything to make it a success. We'll have to wait and see, and for now, that's it from me. Thank you so much for watching, I hope you enjoyed. Be sure to like and subscribe and comment below which Ariana Grande album is your favorite, and if you're watching this after the new one is released, what do you think of it? Does it compare with the rest? And whose albums would you like me to rank next? I will see you all in the next one.